Hey y'all, it's Rick with Uncommon Communion. Glad that you are with me on this Friday afternoon. Let us begin as we begin all of these little messages by remembering, recalling, affirming, celebrating that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of God and each other. So, wow, yesterday and the election of the first American Pope. And if you have been following the media since then and also today, it is quite clear he is American, even though he has spent significant time in Peru and has dual citizenship and also spent quite a bit of time in Rome and working the Vatican. The stories and the photos are coming out of him as a child in elementary school, Catholic elementary school. You might have seen the picture of him at a White Sox game, as he is apparently not a Cubs fan, but a White Sox fan. And many more stories and anecdotes and photos are coming out. And kudos and yay for Villanova University in Philadelphia, as he is a graduate of there. So we have Villanova can now say forever in their alumni association that this Pope, Pope Leo XIV, graduated from their institution. I went back and I listened, and perhaps you did as well, to my post right about this time yesterday. And it was definitely a hot take because you heard me really trying to put into words a complex set of emotions. And I think I have a better grasp 24 hours on, if not about my own feelings about this, about the possible signs and possibilities for it for the United States and also the world. Now, you'll recall yesterday that I still feel this, that I really do believe that it would have been far more spectacular and I think far perhaps more exciting and maybe even better that we would have picked, the Cardinals would have picked, we would have seen the first Asian Pope, the first African Pope. We already now have the first South American Pope in Pope Francis. We're seeing the first American Pope in Pope Leo XIV. And yet I think still, I'm going to hold to that it would have been better to have a Pope groundbreaking in one of those areas. I'm also going to hold to the fact I'm glad it's not an Italian, even if their name, we might have had Cardinal Pizzaballa become Pope. So I do think that is a good thing. I also am still, like I said, struggling with my own personal reaction to this. I am working on my memoir, my story of my spiritual journey, and it has been quite a journey. I have left the Catholic Church not once, but twice now. And I don't know that a lot of people do that. Leave and then come back and work for the church like I did for 8 years, almost 10 years, and then leave again after that ended. So my feelings about organized Catholicism are complicated, and there is some pain there that I will certainly share in my story when I write it and share it, I guess, in serial form, if you will, in the written part of this Substack. And yet, I am very Catholic in one sense. Well, two senses. One is the meaning of Catholic, universal, believing that the universality of Christ, the universality of God who is love, the cosmic nature of that is very much at the heart of my spirituality. And it's been in me since I was born. You know, I can remember as a child feeling some of the at least seeds of that kind of outlook. Also, what they call the Catholic imagination is very much alive in me. And I'm going to close this reflection with a little reading about what that means and kind of how that really speaks to my spirituality and how I can be very Catholic and also not a practicing Catholic, not identifying myself as a Roman Catholic. So I think there is a paradox there, to be sure. And yet, when a time like this comes up, I'm really kind of in between. I'm not one of the practicing Catholics that is celebrating Leo as my Holy Father. I don't see that anymore. I am not fully somebody who is outside of the church, who is, seeing just the historical nature and the global political nature. I'm somewhere in between. And I don't believe I'm alone in this. There's probably others of you out there. Certainly, many former Catholics or sort of Catholics or cultural Catholics may very well feel fairly similar. And if you do, I just want to tell you it's okay. It's kind of tricky, maybe, for me to explain it to people. It's been hard to really come to an identification of this. Still some conflict. My wife is still practicing Catholic, going to Catholic Mass while I go elsewhere on Sundays. And that's painful, not something I love. We go where we're fed, we go where we're nourished. And that is where she is currently being nourished. And I support and love her in that. On the other hand, I am where I need to be, doing what I need to do. And that is a very good thing. And it's not a place that I've always been. It is a place that is new and a place I am just discovering. It is a place where I feel free to say things and show things like that flag behind me and just to be myself, to be honest, to be who God created me to be. And I'm so glad that I can do that here in this place with you and with others. Shifting to the global on this, I want to share two ideas before I wrap up. And both of these, you'll find them in the same article. And I'll share this with you. It's in the Bulwark. And that is one of my favorite Substacks. I subscribe to them. I'm a paid subscriber. Highly recommend that you do too. I just really find the three core people plus a growing number of other reporters and thinkers to just be very insightful and entertaining and fun and interesting and relatable, many, many things. Well, one of the three core people, there's Sarah, Tim, and JVL is what they call him. Jonathan is his first name, but JVL. He's Catholic. And I listened to a hot take with him and with one of the others yesterday, just hours after the announcement. And he was downright giddy. And it's kind of funny because of those three, he is the one who's kind of known to be more pessimistic and a bit more dour. To just hear him and see him in the video, just, completely ebullient, full of joy was quite remarkable. And I will link to his piece. He does end with something I think really kind of struck me, and put that together with a piece that I'll also share here, also on the Bulwark, from another set of writers, but about something else that might be significant here. But first, what JVL shares. He shares a quote from who is now a Catholic bishop, Bishop Robert Barron. He was a priest and really somebody I really looked up to, somebody who was instrumental in bringing me back that second time to the formal Roman Catholic Church. His Catholicism series, which I guess is probably about 15 years old now, is still just a wonderful thing. The music and the images and the thought is really quite remarkable. Even if you are not a practicing Catholic, I think there's a lot to be gained from that. I'll be honest with you, as he became a bishop and really has kind of mainstreamed into the conservatism, the growing traditionalism of the American bishops, I've kind of lost some respect for him, a lot of respect for him. JVL quotes him in an interesting way here. He says, this is quoting Bishop Barron, he says, Cardinal George of Chicago of happy memory. Oh, and by the way, this quote is just a few days before yesterday. So this is before, the announcement, the conclave, etc. So Bishop Barron says, Cardinal George of Chicago of happy memory was one of my great mentors. And he said, quote, look, until America goes into political decline, there won't be an American Pope, end quote. And his point was, if America is kind of running the world politically, culturally, economically, they don't want America running the world religiously. So I think there's some truth to that we're such a superpower and so dominant that they don't want to give us also control over the church. And hopefully you'll read this on your own. But JVL goes on to say that, well, lots of places in the world are saying America is no longer that superpower, that we are in a moral and economic and political and democracy decline. And he speculates perhaps that is why the cardinals picked who is now Pope Leo, the first American, to really they felt free that we are not the superpower now or will be in the future. And that is a sign of their recognition of that, picking him. The other piece that I'll link to is from another person at the Bulwark who really kind of speculates about the parallel between the first Polish Pope, that would be John Paul II, and he was picked during what would become the last days of the Eastern Bloc of Poland, the Soviet Union occupation. And he was very instrumental. John Paul II was highly instrumental in supporting the Solidarity movement and ultimately working to bring down the Soviet Union. And, one wonders if there's something at work here from the Holy Spirit's perspective, God's perspective, about, seeing this American cardinal and what the unique relationship that he will have in one way or another with the United States. And we're already seeing that, his tweets being critical, and rightly so, of Vance and T. Rump and their policies. Well, again, I appreciate your joining me here on a little calmer day. I hope my reflections were a little more reasoned and maybe a little less passionate. Nevertheless, I hope they were honest and helpful as you navigate this time and your own feelings about it. I want to close with just a little reading from this book, Contemporary Catholic Poetry. Got it out of the library. I haven't read enough to read a poem for us, but you'll probably hear some. What I wanted to read, though, is the last piece of the introduction. And it talks about what the Catholic imagination is and the sacramental vision that is found in contemporary American Catholic poetry, which this is an anthology of that. And it goes on to say, I'll summarize a little bit of it before reading what I will read, is it says that, one of the things that is unique about this Catholic vision is that the spiritual, the divine, so powerfully and completely became and continues to become flesh, right? And that's really, what sacramentality means, is that the divine, the holy, the spiritual, the transcendent is revealed through the stuff of life, right? The bread, the wine in a Eucharistic way, and even more so in relationships and in creation and in all of these things, right? And this is how the authors of the editor, the compiler of these poems says. And they say this. And I think, again, if you are following me and kind of what I write and think and say, and Planetary Pilgrims and Father Ed Hayes, all of those things, it's all right here. It all flows from this mindset. So let us end with this little reflection. They say, amid the great variety of poems in this book, the reader will find a consistent commitment to this vision of reality as sacramental. Underlying these poems is an acute awareness that the world is a wonder, that each moment of every human being's life is a wonder. These poems ask us to slow down, to pay attention not only to the poems themselves, but also to our own lives and the lives of others, to live more fully in the brief that while we are here, to make the most of each moment we're given, to welcome, in short, all wonders. So may you be wonderful and wonder filled in all that you do. Blessing and good. Be well.